Okay, well today we're here at the Gauntlets Boxing Gym in the heart of Surrey, and joining me I've got Queensbury National Light Heavyweight title challenger Max Chart. We're going to be chatting to Max about his obviously his plans, his preparations, what he's been up to during the pandemic, and we're going to look ahead to his return to the Queensbury Boxing League potentially on Saturday the 3rd of July. So first and foremost, Max, great to see you. It's been an awfully long time. We're just literally getting back into interviewing some of the fighters and making plans for the league's return, but I'll start with how have you been?
Not too bad, mate, I suppose. A bit up and down as everybody has been, I suppose so. But just taking each day as it comes, trying to still stick to my training. Obviously, it's died down a lot, restrictions and everything, but ticking over, works on and off, just trying to stay sane, I suppose.
I mean, we're going to be interviewing a lot of the fighters and catching up with them now, so probably the first question I'm going to ask everybody is, how difficult has the lockdown been with the fact that you've just not been able to be in the gym, really, not been able to compete, and really that whole kind of lifestyle has been, totally disrupted?
To be honest, I think the hardest part about it is the social aspect of the gym. I know all gyms will say this, but it's true. Like, you feel like you're a family, you're a part of a club. So we go there and we're in a routine, and we get sweaty and bloody and tears, and everything gets all together, so you become really close, and like missing out on all of that has been the hardest part of the whole thing. I'm just looking forward to getting back to it. We haven't been able to do it, nobody has, obviously, unless you're a professional and you do it for a living. The restrictions are still in place at the minute, but as we're getting closer to hopefully the end of lockdown, and the hopefully this show goes on, and we'll just get back together, get back to normal, and crack on training again. But
do you think it's going to be hard to get back into the swing of things?
Realistically, it depends how much you want it, I think. It's one of those things. Like, I'm 28, I'm still young. Depends, young or old, depends how you look at it. In my eyes, I'm still young, I've still got a few years left in me. And it all depends on how much you want it. Don't get me wrong, at the start of lockdown, it was nice, it was sunny, I was sitting in the garden, I was having a few beers, and I was getting paid for it. Furloughed, like I couldn't do nothing. So everybody was just stuck and sitting at home, and I was lapping it up. But then it's been a year now, and it's been over a year. Last week I had my last fight, and I wanted to have 3 fights after that, and so realistically I would have probably had another one this year as well. I'm 4 fights down, so it's hard, but it depends how much you want it, and it will be hard for everybody to get back in it. But the thing is, everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you say, I think that's the only kind of consolation for everybody that I'm speaking to, and say, it's been hard, it's been tough, it's sort of, completely disrupted everything, not just on a sporting front, but, life in general, but everybody else is in the same boat as myself, so it's kind of like that collective feeling that, we're all in this together, and we've all got to sort of work together to get out of it. So let's look ahead. The show is planning to come back on July the 3rd. I know that you're really, really keen to get out there, and that you've started sort of, I won't say getting back into the gym, because the gyms aren't open yet, but, you've got that sort of focus, and you've got something to look forward to, that potentially you could be back in the ring on Saturday, July the 3rd. So, now that there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, I mean, how is the kind of focus, the mindset change for you?
After I had the phone call with yourself, I was shadow boxing for 20 minutes in the garden, all excited, jumping up and down as if I'd just won a fight. So it's the best bit of news that I could have, to be honest, because all being well, everything goes ahead, and either way, on the 3rd of July, I'll be ready for a fight. So that's it. So I've taken it as, no matter what happens with the government, I will be ready. I will be putting myself through a camp, and I will be ready for whoever gets in front of me on the 3rd of July. Should it go ahead, should it not, I'll still be ready. I'm not gonna think, it could go ahead, so I might train. At the end of the day, you have to be ready for a fight, and at this level as well, I'm fighting at national level, so you can see the fights that I've had. Like, no fight's been easy. One fight's been easy, but none of the other fights have been easy, and we just need to prepare ourselves for people that are preparing themselves at national level as well. So I need to make sure that I'll be fit and ready, as I would be if I was in the gym every day like I would be in camp. So I'm going to put myself through a camp. Like you say, I'm not in the gym at the minute, but I'm picking things up, I'm doing things. Everybody's in the same boat. So if I want to get in the ring on the 3rd of July, I need to go in there fully prepared because I don't know what my opponent's doing at the minute, because we all need to take things into our own hands.
I know we've spoken off camera a couple of times about your last fight, which was the last show that Queensbury Boxing League staged at the Troxy in London before the lockdown started. So that was you challenging for the national light heavyweight title against Nigel Hammersmith. As I say, we've talked off camera. We've, on the night, we got your views on the night, and you thought that you had done enough to win the fight. Then you looked back at it and you said, you know what? I thought retrospectively, there wasn't really anything in it at all. I think a draw would have been a fair decision. And personally for me, on the night, that's how I scored it. I thought there wasn't... When you're scoring a fight, I mean, and everybody, like we've spoken about this, everybody sees a fight differently. Some people will see it from one angle of the ring. Somebody will see it from another. Your fans will see it differently to obviously your opponent Nigel's fans. But on the night, I can remember coming away from ringside and thinking, I wouldn't want to call that fight. There wasn't anybody that did anything in that fight that stood out for me to say, well, in that particular round or that particular round, it was a very, very even fight. Hammersmith got the decision. Quickly looking back on that fight, now that you've had a chance to digest it, I mean, if you were to do something differently in that fight, if you rewind back to March 2020, what do you think you could have done better or more of to get that decision?
Like you say, we spoke more about the fight in the weeks after it than we have lately, but I was obviously on the end of the phone kicking off and getting all upset like I was, because I invested a lot of time into that fight, and it was my third shot at the national title for my second opponent. So I'd had the three attempts at it and none of them had come off. So I just felt like that fight there was nothing in the fight. I've watched it back. Like I say, I was all emotional and I was very invested in the fight. And looking back on it, I watched it. I called you and I was all upset. And I said that, like, I can't see how he's got the decision, what's happened. But I watched it with commentary, without commentary, and I still managed to favour myself because of the emotion that was there. But like I said to you the other day on the phone, I've watched it back recently. Nobody done enough. It wasn't a great fight. Nobody really done anything. Like you say, judges, everybody scores it differently. It depends where you're sitting, what fight you like. I was very calm and took the centre of the ring, and I was throwing and I was boxing a bit better than he was. And he was just on the outside swinging wild punches, but he was catching me with those wild punches. So it's 50-50. And like I say, I don't give the fight to him, but now I don't give the fight to me either. So realistically, in my head, on the score sheet, it's gone against me, which I'm not happy about. But then again, that could really work in my favour because he's the champion, he's the winner, and I'm up for it again. In my head, we've drawn, so let's get it on again. But he's the champion, and I'm going to go in there for a challenger. I'll be the challenger for the fourth time for that belt. Well, one of them was at middleweight, super middleweight, but this one will be the fourth time for the actual national title, third time at light heavyweight, and I'll be the challenger again. But I just think that I know what to do. The things that I could have done differently was I come off the back of a win in 19 seconds, and my opponent wouldn't get up. And the crowd sort of wasn't happy, I wasn't happy, and I went into that fight thinking that I wanted to show that I can box. So I got into the ring with a fighter and tried to box, but I can fight, and I didn't fight until the last round, and I had a fight in the last round and I rocked him, and the last round, if I put it on him in the third round like I did in the last round, he wouldn't have made the fifth round.
I was going to say, when I watched that fight and I looked at the performance, looking back at all of your previous Queensbury performances, you said, you were boxing and you were calm and you were sort of calculated, but it didn't look like the Max chart that fought Ricky Peacock. Yeah. It didn't look like the Max chart that had fought on all the previous occasions. I mean, and that those fights, you could see that sort of ruthless kind of aggressive when you opened up and you started sort of putting your punches together.
Yeah.
You looked a different fighter in there, and whether that was because you were trying to sort of box a little bit more clever, it kind of maybe took a little bit of the edge away from your performance. But if the phone call came and you were offered to fight Hammersmith again, would it be a fight that you'd take straight away?
100%. 100%. I'm up for that fight. First fight back. Like I say, everybody's in the same position. So tell him now, get it out there now, get ready. You've got 5 months to prepare. Let's get it on the 3rd of July. We both got the same preparation. We both come off of the same. We both had our last fight against each other. Like I say, the thing with that fight, Alan, is, like you say, I'm a bit more of a fighter than a boxer. So in my last fights, I've got aggression. Like the fight with Ace Adam, like in 2018, it was fight of the year.
Amazing.
It was a brilliant fight. He's the boxer in that fight, but he is a better boxer than me. So I wouldn't have got away with boxing how I did. Maybe I would have been a bit better if I boxed how I did against Nigel, but the thing is, I tried to box a fighter, and the same with Ace Adam. I didn't come off successful with Ace Adam, and he boxed beautifully, and it was a great fight, and we put each other down, and like it was that they had to throw the towel in because I had literally nothing left in the tank. That they give me 30 seconds. The doctor wanted to pull me, or the doctor let me go, and then the commentators were saying it was caught too brave. But look at my nose, like look at it now, it's bent anyway. So my coaches know how you only got to look at my nose to break it. So like, okay, it looked brutal, but I was alright. Like I was okay, but it didn't look like I was. But I'm pretty tough. So like, and he was hitting me with some solid shots, and he was looking at me thinking, just bloody go down, mate. Like, go away. And then if they didn't throw the towel in, it would have been silly, and I would have just, because I watched that fight back, like I say, it's the fight of the year, and I'm proud of that. Like, but I didn't get the decision. But in the last round, I was throwing body shots, and he must have thought, "What are you doing?" There was no spite, there was no power, and I had nothing left, so the towel had to be thrown in.
Yeah.
But with the Hammersmith fight, I needed to go in there and give it my all, and give it the aggression, and give it the max chart, if you like. But then I tried to box a fighter, but now I know, like I say, I wanted to go out and against that Dan Jones, I wanted to go out and show people that I can box as well as fight, and that would have been great. If he got up, then I would have, instead of getting on him, because I didn't know much about my opponent leading into that fight. Don't get me wrong, if you put someone down in boxing, you don't get paid for overtime. So if you put them down, jump on them and get them out there if you can. Yeah, but you also need to be calculated about it. So you need to work out whether you're going to get caught. Like I say, we're boxing at a national level. If I get in there and I start throwing all wild shots, there's nothing to say that I'm not going to catch one on the chin and I'm going to go down. You expose yourself.
That's the difficult thing. You want to box clever. You want to utilise that aggression, but you've got to it's got to be educated pressure, because, like you say, Hammersmith is, he kind of burst onto the scene in the Queensbury Boxing League. I mean, a great first fight, a great performance, then straight into that national title shot. And he was a bit of an unknown quantity, but I mean, he's from the House of Pain gym in Bournemouth. Yeah. They breed them tough down there, and he's sort of he's an awkward type of fighter, because he's got that lateral movement where he moves around the ring. He kind of arcs those wide punches out. He's hard to sort of catch and get a hold of, and and he can fight.
And he can bang. He can bang. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say that he didn't hurt me. He threw some good shots, but like I say, I'm tough enough to move forward and to go on with it. But if he wants to do that again, like I say, it's a 5-round fight. So I should have sussed out that was him. What you just said then was perfect analysis. He's lateral fighter. He's a bit of a swinger. He was all over the place, but that threw me. I got in there, like I say, with that Dan Jones. If he did get up and give me the fight that I wanted, I would have just boxed him for 3 rounds. He was already afraid of the power, so I would have just sat back. I wouldn't have gone in there to take him out, because I wanted to get back in. It was my first fight for a long time. I wanted to get in there, have that fight, get that over and done with, then get the next one on. And then with Nigel Hammersmith, I think if I managed to get the rounds in with Dan Jones, I could have boxed for the first couple of rounds and then thought, this isn't working, let's bash him up. Sort of, let's have a fight, let's go to war. And then when in the last round, Sean said, I got caught with a lovely uppercut. At the end, I just got in there and put my hands down for some strange reason. Like I say, I was boxing the whole time, I had a nice guard, I put my hands up, and he caught me with this weird uppercut. He's moved out from it, caught me with an uppercut. My head, you see at the end of the 4th round, if you watch it back, I went like that, and it caught me on the button, and I thought, mate, thank God the bell's gone. So I have respect for his power, I have respect for him as a fighter. I don't have respect for him saying stuff that he did after and then come up in the changing room and start giving me a cuddle and saying how much of a nice bloke I am, but it is what it is. But people have 2 sides to the story, don't they? He basically, I think that he preempted his post-fight interview, so he already had that scheduled. So he said that, I knew he was going to come out and be a fighter and do this and do that, but really that is what he would have said he planned to say, because I didn't go out there fighting. I went out there and boxed him. So I didn't. Do you know what I mean? Like he didn't really make me miss. Everything that he said, I think was wrong. But like I say, I still respect him. He got in there and he caught me with that big shot. And Sean said, "Are you all right?" And I had tunnel vision. And he said to me something. And he said, "I'm going to pull you out." I said, "You dare pull me out?" And obviously he has a duty. And I said, "You dare?" I said, "I've had 3 national title fights, all scheduled for 5 rounds. This is the first 5th round that I'm going to make." I said, "You dare?" He said, "If you don't go out there and bash him up, I'm going to throw the towel in." I said, "Throw the towel in." I said, "Like we're not losing." And he said, "No." He goes, "But what I'm saying is," he was conscious because I was supposed to fight on the November show, the last show of the year before that, and I had concussion.
Okay.
So because I had concussion, he was obviously being a good corner.
Of course, you've got to look at. You've got a duty of care to your fighter.
Duty of care, yeah. So he said, "Go out there and bash him up," and that's what I done. And then he said, Why didn't we do that earlier?" And I was saying to Sean, I want to box, and like, I think in the back of my head, like I take quite a big crowd to the shows, like, and I feel they didn't get their money's worth for the Dan Jones fight, so I wanted to go for 5 rounds, and then like. I was thinking like this.
You hear that with a lot of fighters, to be honest. You hear, I don't want to let the crowd down. I want to put on a performance, and sometimes to the detriment of the type of fight that they fight, because if they feel that they're not being exciting enough, or they're not throwing enough punches, or they're not really sort of it doesn't feel like the atmosphere is there.
Yeah.
They change their style, they change their sort of tactics because they want to sort of impress. So, I mean, I think it's interesting now when you look at the landscape, to kind of put some context on the light heavyweight division and where it stands. On the undercard of the Battle in the Capital show, there was a fight between Alex McKay and Benji Robinson, and that was an eliminator for the winner of Max Chart versus Nigel Hammersmith. But in the meantime, it looks like Alex McKay, who won the eliminator, isn't going to be sort of fighting for the title now. So, it kind of naturally opens up the possibility that you could fight that fight again, and there's obviously a lot of other fighters coming through. So, final words. I mean, as we sort of as April the 12th comes and the gyms reopen, and then you guys can, I think there'll be a lot more fighters coming back out, ready to sort of get back into training. But I mean, your kind of final thoughts moving forward. What do you want to do within the league?
I've always wanted the national title, the belt. Like, I don't want to get it and retire. I like I say, I'm 28. I'm young. I want to get it and I want to defend it, and then I want to defend it again, and then maybe, you don't know, like you say, there's more names coming into the league now, which is going to open something up. Maybe we could work out to get somewhere to do something else to get to the British title, and then I've done it all. Then I follow in the steps of young Tommy Leroy, that's what I want to be doing. Like I idolise him. He's younger. He's a beautiful boxer. He's moved on now. He's signed as a professional. Like he's done it the right way.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, if I ever, like I say, I'm still young, I'm 28, it's not too old for me to turn over and go and have a few pro fights. So that, realistically, I would have liked to have done it this year if I got to where I wanted to get last year. So I just want to I've taken a step back like everybody else has. Like I say, it's not just me that's had to take a step back. I haven't pulled out through injury or anything. I'm fit. I'm up for it. Don't get me wrong. I could get in the ring tomorrow, but I'm not in any good shape. I'll probably have to fight at cruiserweight, but
maybe heavy.
Maybe heavy, yeah, maybe heavy. I'm trying to give myself a little bit of, but yeah, I'm up for it, and I love it. I love it more now. I think that I've had the time off. I should have done it when I was younger, and then I went down the wrong route, and then I found the love for it. Danny and Sean made me find the love for it again, and I won't fight for anyone other than them. So even if I do turn over as a pro, they have to come with me, because I need them with me, because I only fight for them. I only went to the gym because they kept saying to me, "Do you want to spar? Do you want to spar?" I say, "Yeah, all right, maybe next week," and then I won't go back for 5 weeks. And then I just thought, right, now I'm just going to do it. And then I loved it, and then I decided, actually, I'm not actually that bad. And I got in there, and I had a great opening fight with Chris Jones.
Yeah.
And he was tough as you like.
Yeah.
But
and again, that's the thing. If you look back across your fights, they've all been fantastic fights to watch. I mean, whether it's the sort of the first Ace Adam fight, which unfortunately ended in the first round due to a cut. The second fight, 2018 fight of the season, Frankie Lloyd, Ricky Peacock. Yeah. All the fights that you've been involved in. Who? Ricky Peacock.
Ricky Peacock's been calling me out again.
Really?
Yeah. So get him involved. He can come back for another spanking if he wants. But
be careful what you wish for, Ricky.
That's all I can say. I said that to him. But what I want Nigel Hammersmith again. If he'd give it to me, he's the champion, so he either has to vacate the belt or he has to fight for it, you know. So he was going to fight it, like you say, against Alex McKay, and he's turned over now. So rightfully, in my mind, if you can get it on, if you and Ross can get it sorted, then I look at the fight as a draw. So he looks at it as he won, and he's allowed to. Like I say, you look at it from different angles. It's fair. He did win. He got the decision. So I just want to go and right some wrongs.
No, well, fingers crossed. As I say, July 3rd. Everybody gets back in action. The competition is back up and running, and we get to see the sort of the type of fights like we've seen before from yourself, and plenty more. So, as I say, over the next few weeks, I'm going to be catching up with lots of the league's fighters to get their story of what they've been doing during the lockdown, the pandemic, see what their plans are in the Queensbury Boxing League. So, Max, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much.
That's all we've got time for today. But keep looking out for the interviews coming out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And hopefully there'll be some big news coming with regards to the fight card for Saturday, July the 3rd.